when my grandfather came, D.C. Chinatown was on Pennsylvania Avenue. And my understanding is that the government did not want to have foreigners on Pennsylvania Avenue when they had their parades. So they notified all the Chinese businesses and residents that they had to move, and Chinatown moved over to H Street. Most of the DC area wouldn't sell to Chinese. The Chinese people had to get together and work with other communities and secretly buy property. My grandfather told me that a Jewish man helped him buy here in Chinatown. And what they did is they bought the property and the Chinese people would pay the Jewish people. And we were very lucky because the Jewish community, they were very honest about it. They took the money, and when they were allowed to, they transferred the property over to the Chinese people who had been paying them for years. So in a lot of ways, the Jewish community helped Chinatown.
My father owned a grocery store on 12th and S Street. It's just a general grocery store selling American food, not Chinese food. And it was a very interesting one in the sense that my father was really connected with the customers, the regular customers in the neighborhood. Because when a lot of them don't have money to pay for the food, he would give them credit. And they'll have a little card, they sign the card to show how much they bought, and when their pension check comes in, they'll come in and pay a little bit off. He also, eventually after we worked at the grocery store putting up stock, he hired the neighborhood kids to do that. So they became really part of the neighborhood. As a matter of fact, there was one incident where a kid came in and stole a bag of potato chip. My mother caught him and said to him, "Next time you really need something, just ask me." So he let him go with the bag of potato chip. I think that was a big connection with the neighborhood, and I think during the '68 riots, my father's store was not touched.
I joined the Chamber of Commerce very early, and I'm a strong believer the trade association is very important. I believe I was, first Chinese or Asian to be involved with those organizations. You have to help each other, and I always believe you have to be proactive, not reactive, which is what I still see today. The Chinese community still lack of. And the experience from that was when I was involved with the convention center project and tried to bring the message back for the Chinese community. The attitude is more like, what do I get if I support you? I say, what do you get if there's no project? I say, if you help other people, when you need help, they will come to help you. You don't need to ask. And I feel this kind of things, we still have to, educate the Chinese community, get involved. Only when you get involved, you pay your dues, you have your voice, and then you can make some noise. But without the process, you just sit there and say, what can you give to me if I support you? You don't get anything.
Part of our makeup in Chinatown, within even the Chinese group as well as the non-Chinese, we always had people who were the bodyguards. And for a little guy like me back then, having a bodyguard was just part of the ritual, part of the chain of command. Shek Chin was one of our bodyguards. Shek was a physical specimen back then. He became a naval commander. But back then, he was like one of the most athletic guys. He was muscular, he was strong. And so especially whenever a non-Chinese person would bother any of us, especially the little guys, because we were called the little guys, Shek had no problem stepping in and defending us. Of course, we always had to listen to what Shek wanted us to do, but in the long run, you know, he was our protector. Same thing happened when I was in high school. We had a bodyguard, but he wasn't Chinese. Lester Foote, who actually didn't go to the same high school, was one of our bodyguards. For some reason, he took a liking to us, and he was one of those guys that, you know, we played ball, we hung around, but if anyone else tried to bother us, especially, you know, someone that didn't know us, Les had no problem stepping in and taking care of us. So, you know, I think that still happens now these days, even with my kids, but, you know, Shek and Les were two of our best bodyguards anyone could ever want.